You know, sometimes hope is hard. And despite all of the cliche sayings of faith over fear and don't lose hope and trust, I think somebody just needs to say it's hard to hope right now, you know? The reality of what we're in the middle of is starting to set in, and it's going from our heads to our hearts a little bit. Our prayer requests, our conversations, starting to get a little heavy. And I think we're just in a season where it's hard to hope. And when that happens, I tie a fly. And so I just want to teach you how to tie a pink squirrel. I don't know if you like fishing or not. I so enjoy fishing with my kids, whether it's in a bass boat or walleye fishing or cat fishing. But my favorite type of fishing is fly fishing. And, you know, whether it's in Wyoming or Colorado or Montana or Pennsylvania or Missouri, I love it. And I especially love the driftless area of Wisconsin. These little sidewalk wide streams, and just alone in the countryside, and these brook trout and brown trout. And the pink squirrel is something that was created originally by John Bethke, when he noticed that the trout would kind of rise and hit his pink strike indicator. So he kind of made an adaptation. This is my version of that, and so it's nowhere close to what a professional would do, but it's fun, and I'm going to teach you how to do that real quick. So you're going to start with your hook. I've got a 16 here, a little brass bead head. I'm doing some camel thread, and we're just going to take that all the way back. You catch a few trout on any fly, and these things just kind of start to fall apart. So just going to put a little head cement there, and then you're going to take 3 pieces of some flash. 3 pieces of flash. You're going to tie that in. So I don't know if you can see that or not. Can you see that? You just need 3. I remember John was teaching some guys how to do this, and one of the guys spoke up and he said, "Well, what if you do 4? Does that do anything?" He's like, "I don't know, but if you do 4, it's not a pink squirrel." So we're going to stick with 3 in honor of John's original intent. We're just going to tie that in back here. Cut that off a little bit. There we go. And then you're going to trim that back to about 3/16 of an inch, or just about the size of the bend from shank to tip. You've got that tied in. And then you're going to do a little copper. Just a little copper wire here. We're going to tie that in the back. I think what I love about tying flies is really the thought of preparation. And there's always a little bit of hope in that preparation. I mean, it would be just as easy to buy a pink squirrel at the Driftless Angler, you know, for a couple bucks. But there's something about just sitting down and putting the time and the effort into this that helps me mentally prepare for that 4-hour road trip up north, where I can finally hit that water and tie this on and see if I can get a fish to rise. And you know, we can walk a stream. We can spend 6 hours, not even feel like we're working, and not even catch a fish. But it's just that hope of, you know what, this next bend, this next little ripple, this next little rock, this next little bend, little overhang might hold a fish. And there's just something about that. It's good for our heart. So we're going to take a little bit of the wax, and we're going to dub onto this hook here the actual body of the fly. And this is with squirrel hair and some flash, and it's ground in. Use a grinder. Don't ask me where I got the squirrel. And you just use a grinder and you just grind this up. You do not want to mix up the coffee grinder and the squirrel hair grinder. That will not add anything to your coffee that you want. There you go. Good. And now you're just going to wrap that. You're just going to start there. Kind of work your way. Keeping that pretty tight. This one's going to be pretty slim. I think John makes his a little bit fatter, a little fluffier. Maybe not. And then we're going to pull some of those bigger guard hairs out. So now I'm to the front there with my thread, and I'm actually going to take this copper wire and bring that forward. We're just going to wrap that around. Just create the ribbing. Give it that nymph. Thorax and abdomen type segmentation. I'm going to trim that up. Got the copper on there. Get that tight. A couple threads. A little bit of head cement now. And then we're going to come in with the collar. Good. And then we're going to take some pink chenille, and the ones my buddy Brian makes, he's the one that introduced me to this and kind of taught me the first time. They have a really fluffy collar. This is going to be a little bit leaner because this is a little tighter chenille. But you're going to take that tip and you're actually going to peel off some of the pink and try to expose the thread underneath there. See that or not. And that gives you something to tie it in there with. Tying that in. And now we're going to bring this around and kind of create that pink collar. We're close. We're going to do a little bit of a whip finish. We'll do 3. Get down. And there we go. I'm actually going to use a little bit of this thread. Let that glue drip down into there. So that is a pink squirrel. And if you are ever fly fishing in the driftless area of Wisconsin, even the Smoky Mountains, Tennessee, or panfish, crappie in Illinois, this will do the trick. You know, King Solomon said, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick." So I guess my challenge is, in this season where we're being told we're 2 weeks away from the peak, and I don't know if you're experiencing this, but I can kind of become paralyzed by the news and the Twitter feed and the Facebook articles. And so I guess my challenge is for all of us to spend the next 24 hours and shut that down. For you, it might not be tying a fly, but it can be something, but in some way preparing and continuing to move forward mentally for the day that is coming when we actually get to hit the river again and we get to fish.